Uh, Hole number 9. Here we are. This has been a very frustrating set of guides. I've never seen something quite go. It seems like almost every hole I have a dilemma that I'm trying to overcome. This has been one of my most inconsistent sets of guides just because just nothing is working out to the distances. So, that's kind of what you'll want to take from this is just try to figure out kind of where you don't want to be a little bit and figure out what you'll need to do, spin adjustments to kind of focus on different points for a lot of these holes. As you can see, it's almost set up kind of to really just penalize players that are trying to, hit it to certain spots with the way that they have the wind set up here. Now, what I'll typically do here is maybe about 4 top spin. We are going to go full here, try to aim over here and curl it. Should be able to go just a little bit more with this Kingmaker. I'm thinking something along the lines of this with my curl. There's 5 rings, 8 rings at least, 9. So this should be a different line with my Kingmaker. Since it's going to land so much shorter, you're going to see that I'm going to aim much more out into the fairway. Oh, I'm late on the timing. So let's see if this holds on. I know it's going to be left, and it does. So we are okay. So you can see with what we're trying to do, we're just trying to groove this down the fairway there, get ourselves in position to where we're in the min to max span and not needing to go over power. I should have just made it there by a couple yards. So we should be good. So finally a hole that's probably going to work out. Even if it doesn't, I'm going to pitch it forward. But I'm pretty sure I'm good. I'm pretty sure I have about 8 or 10 yards to spare. So should be good. But you can see opponent here. Didn't see if I think I outdrove him actually. So I'm even closer than he is, I believe, just by a yard or two. Because I just looked a little bit closer. So one of the things that you can do with this, you're going to, I may use just an overplay technique for this one. So you can see we are in the min to max span. I may start this over just a little bit. I'll typically go right around 4 on the backspin. I'm thinking something along the lines of this. And you can see that I'm going to put the ball guide in the hole. Now we're going to do an overcorrection technique. So I'm thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 rings would be pretty close to my overcorrection technique here. I don't know if that's enough, but it'll be close to enough. So let's just go 10.0 and see what it looks like, and then we'll just kind of talk about that. You can also see in the min to max span where I pushed up, and essentially it looks pretty good. It looks like it's just short hopping. It was a little bit of an overpull, maybe by 0.1 or 0.2 rings. It was probably 9.8 rings or so. And it also landed short because I dipped down into the bunker. What that means is I can rotate. I'll need to tighten up my pull angle a little bit. Since I dipped down so much into that bunker, we'll want to rotate the screen over where I just did and try to rotate up just a little bit more into the bunker towards the hole. So we'll want to overpull those rings. And what that'll do is it'll keep me from being a yard short. So if I adjust my rings to where I'm at least 1 extra ring into the bunker, when I pull my rings, it's going to create an extra depth to where the ball will roll out behind the hole instead of short of the hole. As you can see, I'm just a little bit over 1 yard short. Even though another thing that I could technically do is I could just put that guide through the hole. So I could change my spin, and I could use 3.5 spin and just make sure that that ball guide is maybe 2 to 3 yards behind, and then I could essentially just pull at the pull angle that I just used and use that ring adjustment. But you'll want to do one or the other. But you can see what you typically have is a very uphill adjustment. I'm not playing wind effect. Okay, I'm starting my guide in the hole, which means I'm essentially overplaying my rings and the guide is working its way back towards the hole and I'm landing well right on that fairway. So keeping that in mind, if you're going to use that overcorrection technique, make sure you don't start your adjustment too far to the right, because you don't want to make that first bounce hit the rough. So you'll need to kind of play very similar. You can see I use some right spin to make sure if I'm using an overcorrection technique that when I pull my rings, which I'm over pulling the rings, I need to make sure that it's also going to land on the fairway when I over pull my rings. So it is uphill there. That's why I can go 10 rings and it's an over pull. You know, the correct ring adjustment there is probably about 8. So it's that uphill for that hole. So keep that in mind. Good luck with your rounds. Let me know how it goes. And, you know, as I mentioned, just to reiterate here, kind of use these guides and work through the shots and take a look and just figure out, you know, these are the distances we don't want to be. So we're just going to kind of change the top spin, back spin amounts to just try to get it to kind of different spots than where I was kind of leaving some of these, because we had some real difficulties with where we were off the tee. So you'll want to make some modifications on a lot of these holes. But, you know, this gives you kind of a good starting point to kind of reflect and use kind of that suggested advice for what I mentioned about kind of switching and being able to use better adjustment. I tried to, you know, kind of mention in each video that I wanted to see some change with kind of what I thought would be best to, you know, get that result you're looking for. So good luck with your rounds and take care, guys.